Thank you all so much for being here, and especially at a moment where I know everyone is so zoomed out, but I'm always so appreciative of your wanting to be in this community with us. So welcome. As you know, this time it's virtual. And I hope you're having fun so far. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Furlonge, and I am the director of the Klingenstein Center. This is my third year as director, and I just wanted to share a few additional data points about me before I go into sharing some things about things that we've been up to at the center this past year. So I identify as Black or African American, and I'm cisgendered and straight. I'm a mom of three, these three kids who are pictured here. And I'm a spouse of an educator leader, Nigel, who's on this call tonight. He's also a Kling alum. I spent 25 years teaching, coaching, even though I had never really played a sport, running a dorm in independent boarding and day schools. But I am predominantly public school educated. I was the first generation in my family to attend college. And I'm also the first generation post Jim Crow. My parents adopted me and grew up both African-American in the Jim Crow South. And as a lot of you know, I'm a writer, a scholar, a teacher, and at heart, I'm still an English teacher, which you will see in a moment, given the materials that I'm drawing on for this conversation. So as you know, the Klingenstein Center was founded in 1977, and we're situated at Teachers College, Columbia University, which is in Manhattan, and I'm zooming in from Yonkers, and both of these places are situated on traditional Lenape lands. So I wanted to acknowledge the indigenous roots from which our lands come. We have 5 programs. KSI is our early career teacher program, and we are in the process of completing review of applications for that cohort for this summer, which for the first time, and really we're planning the only time, cross fingers, will be virtual. Usually it is hosted at a boarding school campus. We have 3 master's related programs. We have the private school leadership program, which many of you are alum of. We have Leadership Academy, which others of you are alum of. And then we have a dual degree program, which is a master's and master's of business administration degree from Columbia Business School or INSEAD. And we have some alum from that dual degree program here as well tonight. And we have our Heads Fellows program. To go back to the master's programs, we just finished, applications are closed and reviewed, and decisions have been sent for Leadership Academy, and we're so excited to see who's going to join us this summer. Private school leadership, we are starting review of those applications, and we are still accepting applications for that program, as well as the dual degree program. So if you know folks who are interested in spending a year with us, please pass the word along. And we have our Heads Fellows program, which is a fully funded program that invites heads of school for 2 weeks to spend time with us at the center. Unfortunately, we did not run this program this year, given everything that we're living through and leading through, but we anticipate that we will return to this program next year in January. The one important thing to know about the center is that we situate change leadership practices at the center of the intersection between diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, and belonging work, social and emotional learning, and mind-brain education, or the science of learning. I want to, as I go through, you're going to see thought partnerships, collaborations, things that we've accomplished, things that we're working on as we go through this slide deck. So I just want to alert you that you're going to see some shout outs, some acknowledgements, and then some looking forward to what I'm looking forward to doing with this group in the coming years. So first, I want to give a shout out to our Kling Brief editorial board, who are just amazingly dedicated to creating just wonderfully curated, thoughtfully edited, thoughtfully written material that really does fuel the learning for educators in the field. And a few of our editorial board members are on this call tonight, so I'd ask them to unmute them and just give themselves a shout out so that we can hear their voices. So unmute and just say yay or woohoo or.
Hello.
It's great to see you all. Steve Valentine is the editor. We have Elizabeth, we have Jess Flaxman, Jessica from our office, Jessica May is very active in that group. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing everyone else. So I think I got everybody. Yes, so thank you for Klingbrief. These are our 9 Practicum action research sites this year. As you know, Practicum is the space that our master students take on to really think about how to build the capacity of a school partner for a given year. Now it's a year-long opportunity as opposed to half a year. We've been doing that for a few years. And these are our partners this year. This was the first year that we were able to stretch beyond the commuter distance from Teachers College to include other schools because we were all virtual. And so that was one benefit to our virtual status this year. So I want to just thank everyone who submitted design briefs, but also are serving as sites for this work this year. We really appreciate it. I've been telling people that we have been traveling from Athens, Greece to Athens, Georgia, and everywhere in between since we went remote in March. We've been running workshops, giving keynotes, collaborating with thought partners. What's really been wonderful is the work that we've been doing with regional associations. And on this slide, I want to particularly call your attention to the Council of International Schools. I was connected with them through ICASA, which is to the left of them on this slide, where I gave a presentation that focused on the leadership is listening, but also centering equity in our practices as regional organizations. CIS then reached out to me, and now I'm working with them to redesign accreditation processes for their member schools. And these include pre-K through 8th grade schools across the globe, as well as universities. And our task really is to center equity, inclusion, and belonging in the accreditation process. So I'm really excited and thrilled about the work that we're doing with CIS. And as you can see, we're hitting national and international regions around the world. Here are some of our other thought partners and collaborations. Here, I'm really having a lot of fun with the med school, our partners across the street, in thinking about how to rethink training med students, centering equity and inclusion. So everything from bedside practices to assumptions that they bring to treating patients, to everything in between. So that's been incredibly wonderful work and resonant in a lot of ways, which I'll share at another time, with the work that we do with teachers and leaders in schools. So the work definitely complements what we're doing at the center. And then I want to call your attention to the Dune School, which is a collaboration in development. We are working on a kind of Heads Fellows program for the Southeast Asian region that will be hosted, hopefully if everything goes well and COVID allows us to open things up, in December at the Dune School in India. So we're really excited about spreading the value of that Heads program to that region and being mindful of what educator leaders need in that area of the world. So I've been thinking a lot about listening, which won't surprise any of you really, but especially those people who have been in my classrooms. And I wanted to bring our attention to Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man in this passage, in which Invisible Man is standing on the platform of the elevated train at 125th Street in Harlem, right down the street from where Teachers College is located. And he's standing there wondering, what did they ever think of us transitory ones? Birds of passage who were too obscure for learned classification, too silent for the most sensitive recorders of sound, of natures too ambiguous for the most ambiguous words, and too distant from the centers of historical decision to sign or even to applaud the signers of historical documents. We who write no novels, histories, or other books. What about us? And in this moment in Invisible Man, the narrator, unnamed, is talking about two things at least. On the one hand, he's talking about those folks who do the work of noticing, and they do it quietly in ways that allow them to build community, but they're not lauded for it. He's also, though, talking about those who are too silent to be noticed, the ones that can't be picked up by recorder, in his world by tape recorder, in our world by all the kind of recording devices that we have, in a world where people are left at the margin and not noticed and not accounted for. What I've been thinking about, and I'm trained in English and cultural studies, and so I draw a lot from fiction. And what I appreciate about that training is being drawn into passages like this that get me to think about how we listen when we do the work of educator leadership. How do we listen for the gaps, for the silences? How do we listen and attune ourselves to the lower frequencies when we're doing the work of teaching and learning in our schools? And how does listening invite not only a response from us, but also a responsibility, a taking of responsibility? In that vein, I want to share with you a few ways that we've responded to the moment that we find ourselves in, stacked multiple pandemics of COVID, of racial reckoning, of impending climate crisis, of economic downturn, and so on and so forth. One of the ways that we've responded in the last year is through responsive curriculum and programming. Our emerging leaders who come and study with us are studying systems thinking and practice. They are practicing futures thinking. They are studying organizational psychology to think about how to leverage all the human elements of a school community. They are learning elements of adult learning, and they are learning how to be just immersed in self-leadership, the practice of reflection. They are practicing strategic communication, from everything from that quick email applauding a group of students after a play, to the difficult email that comes through from a parent who is demanding any number of things, to scenario and case study work, leadership e-portfolio capstones, where they curate experiences from their time with us, and they take that work on with them to be a way to ground themselves in their leadership going forward and to grow from there. They're delving into questions of team building and dynamics, or what we now call cohorting. So we're no longer just members of a cohort, but we understand, as we always have at the center, that cohort is actually a verb. It's a way of being. In our Kling chats, we have opportunities to listen to each other as we convene educators, both within our network of alumni, but also beyond, in conversations that are meaningful and timely. And these are upcoming Kling chats that you can find and register for on our website. They're coming up really soon. We also have Kling salons, and we've already had one this year from Dr. Angel Gonzalez, who is the new head of school at De La Salle Academy, where he spoke about anti-oppression work and reimagining schools. Our next Kling Salon coming up in March, I'm really excited about, is a collaboration with Erica Seth Davies, who is the founder of the Racial Equity Asset Lab and the Associate Director of Philanthropy at the McDonough School. And what she's been working on at the McDonough School is really thinking about how we take structures of finance, of financing schools, of thinking about our financial sustainability, and how we center equity in those practices. So I'm really excited about that Kling Salon and hope that you all can join us for that work. It will be recorded as well, so just in case you can't make it, it will be a resource on our site following the program. We're also delving into what Dorian Hurston called formalized curiosity. And our research focus involves centering DEIJB. We're talking a lot in our schools about what that means. When we say, we need to center DEIJB, what does it actually mean to do that? So we're looking at that question quite specifically and thinking about text mining the Black at Instagram posts. This work has been underway since the summer. And what's wonderful and exciting about this is that we just recently received funding from a donor who wanted to help fund this project, but also help seed funding for additional projects centering DEIJB work through the research that we're doing specifically in independent schools. So I'm really grateful to that donor for for sharing resources with us so that we could carry this work forward. And you will begin to see outcomes from that research later this spring and early summer. We are in the process of assessing the impact of our Summer Institute. We've actually never taken a moment to pause and reflect on the impact of our programs. And we're starting with the Summer Institute, where we engage with early career teachers to see both what remains impactful of that program, but also where our growth edges are for that program as well. We are developing a framework for listening leadership, and I have a proposal out to a few foundations, so hopefully that work will propel forward. We're working on formalizing a leadership framework that we will share and publish. Recently, actually yesterday, I think it was yesterday, when we were at our NEIS Kling seminar, our annual seminar, we talked a little bit about head stress. And I've been thinking a lot about leadership stress in general and well-being, but particularly the way that that stress gets amplified when the leader is Black, Indigenous, or a person of color, or a woman. And so we're going to start looking at ways to design studies to learn about that kind of stress and to learn what we can do to more effectively support all leaders in schools, but particularly those leaders who are particularly immune to short terms because of the extra challenges that they carry with them into leadership. And I'm also really interested about the other side of things in terms of, we spend a lot of time thinking about boards and heads. I'm really interested in delving into what I'm seeing and hearing through Kling chats, through global workshops, that I'm just calling right now distrust between faculty and administration. And so how can we better understand that dynamic? And how can we speak to it and perhaps address it so that our schools don't implode on ourselves because of that distrust? Few things I want to announce. You saw this announcement in the newsletter, but I want to just name this really exciting development here. The Hotchkiss School did their own fundraising to develop what they're calling the Walter Crane Fellowship. Walter Crane is pictured here. And what they decided to do was create a 4-year fellowship where they would hire faculty of color in leadership positions and different roles in their school. Part of their 4 years at Hotchkiss will be spent with us studying in the private school leadership program. And so they will be in residency with us, and the Walter Crane Fellowship will pay for their tuition at the Klingenstein Center. So we're so excited that Hotchkiss came to us to be the host institution for that work that they're also excited about. But what I really want to put out there is that I'm really interested in taking this Hotchkiss as the first school to be part of a consortium of schools that will help develop residencies for future Klingenstein Center students. And so I'm really excited about the possibilities that exist there for schools going forward. I also want to name that the Hotchkiss School is the host site of the Klingenstein Summer Institute once we all go back in person. We have a new course coming up, and it's actually going to be a slate of courses, but the first course was a collaboration through Global Online Academy, which I want to say that I'm so grateful for their thought partnership and their support, but also their work on this online opportunity for alum to learn from us wherever they are. Our first course will focus on listening leadership, and I will facilitate it. So I hope to see some of you there, but definitely spread the word. We'll start soon in a few weeks with this course, and other courses will be coming online in the coming months. And then we have Forge, our program that we had to pause our launch last summer because of COVID, but we're really excited to launch this program this summer remotely. We're going to do this online thanks to a grant from the E.E. Ford Foundation. And we are excited about bringing in educators who are really thinking about how they can capitalize on the change process in order to forge change in their schools. So we're excited about the folks that have already applied to attend, and we hope that you'll spread the word about this program as well. And lastly, we've been working on an idea called Sonic Pedagogy. This came out of a call from the Summer Institute a couple of years ago when I did a presentation on listening, and they wanted to learn more about how teachers could become listening teachers in their classrooms. And so I reached out to a few folks in the field of sound studies who are in the UK, and we have partnered and created a working group on sonic pedagogy. And so we had our last session today. Eder Williams McKnight is an alum of the center who has also joined me on this initiative and was part of the working group. And we'll start sharing out tools that we created from that collaboration going forward. And we're hoping that those folks can come to this side of the pond to visit with us in another year. So with that, I will end by reminding you that we are over 4,000 alumni now in 65 countries on 6 continents. We are an alumni network that equals 132 interconnected cohorts. And I just want you to span that map in front of you and just look at the impact. Look at all the blue. And what I'm so excited about and what I want you to know is that I recognize that none of the collaborations, none of the work that we've done so far could have happened without you, without the team at the center. And I want to thank our entire team, Kadesh, Latoya, Jessica, and Cindy, for all the work that they do for all of us on behalf of the center every single day. I want to thank my advisory board for all the support that they give us. And I also want to thank our students who are here in droves to support our work. And all of you, our alum, because without you, there is no center. There is no way that the future of the center, which is poised to be global, dynamic, and more inclusive than ever as our industry of independent and international schools becomes more inclusive than it ever has been. There is no way that we can really see our full future forward without you. This isn't a single leader project. This is a whole community project. It takes a network, and not only a network, but a network that understands that we are situated in an ecosystem that can only thrive if we all work together to help it thrive. And so I thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight, for listening to me and my update. And I hope that some of what you heard you found exciting, and that I hear from you as you reach out to be even more involved through giving of your time and talents to the center. So thank you so much.